The Central African country is bilingual. The majority of Cameroonians speak French, and around 20% of the population are English speakers.
That's an important distinction because there's an Anglophone region, the area that there are English speakers, and then the Francophone region. 80% of the people of Cameroon speak French, 20% speak English. And the French motherfuckers, since they're the majority and they're a bunch of bastards, a bunch of frog-eating pieces of shit, the French and the Anglo-Saxons are all Germanic tribes to begin with, so they're all Germans. But the damn French, the French-speaking part of Cameroon are, you know, fucking with the English. They are genociding the English regions. They are genociding the English people. And so the English side, once they call them the Separatists, they want to, you know, have their own independent nation. And they should be allowed to have their own independent nation, especially with that Paul Biya. Paul Biya is a dictator. Paul Biya has been running Cameroon since 1982. Paul Biya is a 40-year dictating low-life piece of shit. You know how I know he's a dictator? Because he's been in power for 40 fucking years. So since 1992, then 97, and then 04, and then 11, and then 8, he's getting 7-year terms. So he's going to be in there for, you know, until 2025. He's still got 4 more years. He's winning all these elections. Bullshit. Bullshit. And so, you know, look at all around. You got Bolivia, right? They had a dictator for 8 years. That's why the coup d'etat happened. Then they were talking about Maduro. He's been in there for 10 years. Paul Biya has been in there for nearly 40 years. And we got troops in Cameroon. I guess if we'd rather the devil we know, not the devil we don't, Paul Biya is a devil. And we have troops with permission with him, but he's saying he's fighting Boko Haram, or is he calling the Separatists who have legitimate grievances Boko Haram? Yeah, fighting terrorism or just maintaining dictatorial, totalitarian power. Paul Biya is a terrible, totalitarian, dictatorial monster, and he shouldn't be the president. No, we should not be supporting the Cameroonian government. The Paul Biya's government, we should have nothing to do with Paul Biya's government whatsoever. There's a genocide. They're starting a genocide. They killed 10, okay? So there's 2017, so let's listen to some more of this.
But the English-speaking minority has long complained they are treated as second-class citizens. In late 2016, their struggle for equal rights turned violent. Now, the country is on the brink of civil war. Armed English speakers are fighting to break away from the French-speaking regions and create a new nation. They call it Ambazonia. European colonial powers largely determined Cameroon's borders. In 1916, Britain and France seized the territory from Germany. Britain controlled part of it, and France controlled the rest. In 1960, French-speaking Cameroon won independence, and the following year, the British-controlled regions were given the option to join Cameroon or Nigeria. The southern English-speaking territory opted to join Cameroon, and a bilingual country was born.
All the Anglophones, they have a similar problem, the problem of marginalization, the problem of suppression, the problem of assimilation. There was no violence. They were just, I think the people also had enough with the system, so they just needed an outlet.
So there you go. The English, they voted to be a part of the thing. Why can't they vote to get the hell out? So Paul Biya, okay, so let's talk about Paul Biya. He throws journalists in jail. He killed Charles Truman, a U.S. missionary. He throws journalists in jail, Bertrand Tayu and Mimi Meto. The town of Kade, K-A-E-D-E, Kade, it's on the northern border with Nigeria and Cameroon. You had 14 days ago a bunch of elephants who were stampeding through the Kade town, and they killed 10 people, left a whole bunch of people homeless. So this is the shit that the people in Cameroon have to deal with. They have to deal with stampeding elephants, killing them. 10 people just died. So some of them had died trying to scare the elephants. You cannot scare the elephants. Don't try to scare them. Don't run up to scare them, and don't try to kill them. Maybe try to take some drums and pots and pans, but keep your distance. You can also use bees. If you have bees, encourage the elephants run away from bees. Also, burning pepper is another way to get rid of elephants. There's 6,500 elephants in Cameroon still. It's got the largest elephant population, one of the largest elephant populations in the world. And so this is just some extra shit that the people of Cameroon have to deal with, not to mention poverty, malnutrition, and disease. 2017, Paul Biya's genocide of the Anglophone Southern Cameroon region had happened, and so there needs to be an investigation. You had Paul Biya's goons, the BIR, something about the rapid intervention, something, but Paul Biya's goons, right? So Paul Biya is the dictator, and his little Nazi troops went into the Anglophone region, the southern Cameroon region, and the cops and the military, they were raping the English-speaking Cameroonians. They were burning the English-speaking Cameroonians' villages. There was indiscriminate killings against the Separatists because they're pushing for their own nation, and why wouldn't they? Paul Biya is in there, he's going to kill them, and he's going to try to force them to be a part of a nation that they don't want to be a part of. And it gets even worse. So you got, stampeding elephants. You got Paul Biya killing, the Separatists, committing genocide. And then in the capital, Yaoundé, you got baby trafficking, not human trafficking, but baby trafficking. They're selling Cameroonian babies to the people in Congo. So the Cameroon is so poor that they're selling their babies to people in the Congo. They're buying people the Congo. I mean, they got money. This is, my God, dozen babies are killed, left on the street. So there's, poverty. People, the babies are dying. They're left on the street. They're having to deal with baby trafficking. And apparently you can get a baby for $2,000 if it's only like 1 day old. If it's like greater than 3 months old, it's $6,000. This is sick. This is sick. This is human. This is baby trafficking. So they got, stampeding elephants, baby trafficking. Then you got the genocide on top of the Separatists. There's some talk about the African Nations Championship, the soccer games. Paul Biya is calling out the troops. He's making a big deal about it. You also have 5,000 Central Africans who fled to Cameroon. There's electoral violence in Central Africa, the Central African Republic, and so the Central Africans from the Central African Republic are fleeing everywhere. Most of them are fleeing to the Congo, to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they're fleeing by foot. Most of them are going to the Congo, but 5,000 Central Africans have fled to Cameroon. So you got a massive influx of refugees. My God, Cameroon's got, this and that and every other problem in the world, and Paul Biya only gives a shit about his wealth and power. He goes to Switzerland. He wants hotels, 43 rooms in France. He just goes on vacation. They say small trips. That's his Mar-a-Lago. So you got Paul Biya, who's been, a dictating piece of shit for the last 40 years. He goes to Switzerland. He goes to Switzerland to has these expensive vacations all on the taxpayer dollar. Olivier Bibo Nasak, Alain Flag, Tatum, the peaceful symbol. So these are the opposition. There's political prisoners. They had the Cameroon resistance movement, and they were peacefully assembling in Oliver Bibo Nasak, Alain Flag, Tatum, along with, the journalists Bertrand Taillot and Mimi Meto. This is Paul Biya. He's just throwing people in jail if he's not indiscriminately killing, people like the U.S. missionary Charles Truman. Then he's throwing journalists in jail. He's throwing political opponents in jail. This is insane. September 22nd, 2020, you had Paul Biya had a crackdown. There was 500 arrests. So Paul Biya is just doing mass arrests. He's shooting people up, and there's, they got baby trafficking in Cameroon. Hey, Paul Biya, why don't you take care of your damn country? Your country is going to shit, and he's going to do the soccer thing to keep them all distracted. But just 1 week ago, January 13th, actually January 10th in the village of Matau, M-A-U-T-U. They're saying they're fighting the Separatists. So again, with the Separatists, the Anglophone region, right? So what did the goons of Paul Biya do in Miutu? The Mautu village, M-A-U-T-U village, they killed 10 civilians, including women and children. The United Nations wants to investigate, which they should, because a 37-year-old teacher named Jacob Mendy had said that the African Union and the United Nations were on the side of Paul Biya, and they were killing everybody in cold blood. Paul Biya said that the rebels actually killed the 10 civilians just so they could blame it on the military, which sounds so freaking ludicrous. It's absolutely insane. The separatist movement has been going on for 3 or 4 years, since 2017. So far, 3,000 separatists have been killed, and 500,000 have been displaced. So yeah, France are imperialist bastards. France has been fucking over Africa forever. France wanted to re-enslave the Haitian people. France fucked Haiti over. So the frog-eating French, fuck the frog-eating French, and fuck Paul Biya. How the hell? That's not a democracy. I don't see how the United States could support Paul Biya in good conscience. We could do a lot. Not only just get out of the Yemeni genocide, but force Paul Biya to retire, get some elections going, and make sure there's actual fair elections that's going on. So this is, an update for Cameroon. Paul Biya has been, a dictator, totalitarian dictator for the last 40 years. There's 27 million people in Cameroon. There's 29 million people in Yemen. There's 6 million people in Colorado. So Cameroon is 4 times as big as Colorado in terms of population of its people. So if the United Nations and the African Union are on the side of Paul Biya, that means the United States is on the side of Paul Biya. And if the United States is on the side of Paul Biya shooting these, allowing all this shit to go on, right? But the direct things where they're murdering innocent people, they're committing genocide against the English speakers. The English speakers, I can understand what the English speakers are saying and what they're writing. And so I hope that they continue to, inform me and the rest of the world about what's going on in Cameroon. About 4 years ago, they killed a whole bunch of fishermen because they were sitting on a bunch of oil. And, this is just, it's too much and it's ridiculous. The people of Cameroon need to, get rid of Paul Biya and get an actual president, get a democratically elected president, one that has the mandate of the people, one that has the confidence and the mandate of the people. And the United States, the United Nations and the African Union need to, get out too. But the United States, this shit's done in my name. So Jacob Mendy, he's a 37-year-old teacher, and I believe him. I believe that this is what's happening. So they, there was 10 people that were killed, 10 civilians that were killed. And the story that I believe is that they were shooting at some separatists, and then they happened to kill some civilians. But since the government's going to sit there and say that, they weren't shooting at anybody, the rebels did it themselves, and they're just going to blame the military, insanity. That's clearly a lie. It's clearly bullshit. So, Paul Biya, the, dictator, the czar of Cameroon, is a liar on top of everything else. But, it's not really shocking. But, the United States, we are in 150 countries. We got 900 military bases spread all over across the globe, and we're in Cameroon. And he's saying it's Boko Haram, but it's the separatists too, and anybody, the political enemies and the journalist stuff. So anybody who's speaking against Paul Biya is getting it. And we're going to be on the side of Paul Biya. We're going to be on the side of, that's bullshit. No fucking way. This is bullshit. So that's the update on Cameroon. And, we need to push for elections, or we just need to get the hell out, because we should not be supporting the oppressors. We're supporting the devil. We're supporting the devil in Cameroon. And that's no good. I do not support this shit. My government's doing this, but I can't, I'm speaking out against it, but what can I do? I'm just one man, and I'm speaking out. That's something. Maybe you could speak out too. And maybe if we have a chorus of people who are speaking out, we could actually get some change. So, yeah, is there anything else that's an update about the Cameroonian situation? The dictator, he's been in there forever. We'll sit there and overthrow a dictator because they've been in there for 8 years or 10 years, like Evo Morales or Maduro, or they're pushing for a constitutional change like Honduras in 2009. And yet Paul Biya has been in there for 40 years, a 40-year fucking dictator. I mean, if the CIA wants, why don't the CIA actually go after the actual dictators? You want to win some hearts and minds, and the CIA can actually, that would be a humanitarian, that would be good. We probably should help out the Cameroonian people and get them some elections. Paul Biya is a piece of shit, and he needs to be, he needs to be retired. He needs to, what they did to Khrushchev, right? You're a little old man, so let's get somebody else to run Cameroon, okay? Now you can pick your successor and then run and see how it happens, but that's it for you, Paul Biya. Paul Biya is a dictator. I'm not on the side of Paul Biya, so I don't know why my government would be on their side. So there you go. That's the update with Cameroon. Peace.